Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I am Eric, and California has two Six Flags parks, Discovery Kingdom and Magic Mountain. So today, I'm going to do a top 10 list of the best roller coasters in both of those parks. Before we get to the ranking, understand that my opinions are definitely very different from what most of you think. I thought a lot of the Magic Mountain coasters were not quite as good as I thought they would be, and a lot of Discovery Kingdom coasters were way better than I expected. So the list will be strange, but just know I'm doing 10 roller coasters, and it's the best roller coasters at all the parks combined, and let's just get to the top 10. Number 10 is Riddler's Revenge. This is a very strong ride, of course. As far as stand-ups go, it is the best. I enjoy it quite a bit, though I do find it is a bit bumpy. I used to think it was perfectly smooth, but now I'm not quite sure about that. The roughness is the only thing kind of holding it back. I think without that, it could possibly be 8 or 7 on this list, maybe even higher than that. It has a great layout, and some of the elements, especially this one corkscrew that goes over a bush and is kind of a near miss element, that's awesome. It's paced well, and I think it's a fun ride. The stand-up thing is not too uncomfortable for me, and I think it's a good ride overall, but it isn't quite as good as some others in both Discovery Kingdom and Magic Mountain. Number 9 is Superman Ultimate Flight. Yes, the Skyrocket 2 made this list. Hear me out. I rode Tigris before this one, and because I do not like Tigris much, I think it has its moments, but the restraints are really bad, and the hang time hurts, and it's not a super well-paced ride. I went in thinking Superman was going to be a slight improvement due to the restraints. It was a massive improvement. The launches felt more powerful. The tunnel was really cool. I thought the hang time was not uncomfortable and really fun. The ride is way more forceful and intense, and it's just an awesome launch coaster. Honestly, as far as premier rides goes, this ride stomps on West Coast racers, no doubt. Easily one of the best premier rides launch coasters, and definitely deserving of a spot on this list. Number 8 is Full Throttle. This premier rides launch coaster is a bit better, as I just think some parts of it are really awesome. The first launch is really powerful for what it is, in my opinion. The hang time on the loop is crazy. The elements after that, while small in number, are good. The backward launch may technically be a gimmick, but I enjoy it quite a bit, and that inversion right before the launch is awesome. The only things holding this back, first of all, the final drop with the brakes is a very abrupt stop, and it kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth at the end of the ride, in my opinion. However, the other thing that holds it back more, not a problem with the ride, but something that can make the ride better, is the fact that it is short, and more elements could really go a long way for this one. It doesn't have a ton to it apart from the launches and the loop, but it is overall definitely an enjoyable and great coaster. Number 7 is Apocalypse the Ride. This is the wooden coaster of both parks, the only one. And you know what? I think it's great. On my rides in 2017, I thought it was very tame, very family, but now it runs like crazy and it does not mess around. It has a rattle, but that rattle did not bother me in the slightest. I thought the station flyby was really cool, and the ride is paced immaculately. It doesn't have the most impressive stats, and there isn't a ton of airtime to it, but that's not a huge deal, because the intensity of it is really fun. So as far as wooden coasters go, it's actually pretty high up for me, and it easily earned a spot in this top 10. Number 7 is a very good placing, considering this is out of many great coasters, and there's a total of almost 30 in these two parks combined. Number 6 is Medusa. I know this is shocking to some. A B&M floorless, I know, above Apocalypse, Full Throttle, but hear me out. This is the best floorless coaster I've ridden. Even better than Dominator, which I never thought I would say because I love Dominator so much. And you know what? I know it's weird. Medusa, though, is just perfect for what it is. It is a B&M layout, so it's mostly just inversions, not a ton of unique, crazy elements like you see on a lot of modern coasters from other manufacturers, but I like that. It really shows, in my opinion, how some of the classic older roller coasters from like the 90s can be just as intense and fun as something modern from today. The first drop is fantastic, all of the inversions are intense and great. The corkscrews are probably my favorite part. The really strange backwards cobra rolls, I'm gonna call it, I don't know what the actual name is. I love that. It's paced well, and it kind of comes from a day when mid-course brake runs don't completely stop you on a ride, so I like that. And all in all, it's just excellent. Pretty much flawless for what it is, though there are some other coasters I do prefer. Number 5, oh boy, Batman the Ride, the inverts. Not the SNS 40 free spin. I know I probably tricked some of you there, but don't worry, I'm talking the invert at Magic Mountain. To have this in the top 5, I'm sure is weird for some. I mean, it's a Batman clone. What can I say? I love inverts, and even though this is one of the weakest I've been on, it is definitely the second best or even best Batman clone, and all inverts are fantastic for me. I love the intensity of them. It's a better sensation than floorless for me, and I overall just think inverts are a better model than floorless. So even though the layout is kind of similar to Medusa actually, it gets an edge for better intensity and better pacing in my opinion. Both are great, but I do have to give the edge to Batman. Now the top 4. Most controversial part yet. Number 4, X2. Yes, I know it's so weird to not have X2 at number 1. I know it's weird, but come on. It's not, in my experiences, nearly as intense or crazy, or even enjoyable, as some say consistently throughout the ride. The drop is fantastic. I'll start with that. It's one of the best first drops on any coaster. No doubt. I love that. The Raven turn after that is amazing. I think that first half of the ride is near perfect. But after that, you know what? You're flipping and all, and that's fun, but I don't think it's quite as crazy as some say. And even though the ride is extreme, it is not really intense the whole way through. I'll also point out I've never gotten fire. I don't know if that's a common thing to not get fire. I think it is probably, but I've never gotten the fire. And the final part is a bit painful, unfortunately. And that does kind of sour it, similar to how Full Throttle's final drop does sour it a little bit. Some people really love the craziness and intensity of this ride. But parts of it are not for me, and parts of it were not quite as good as what I was expecting. I know it's weird, and I know some of you will probably hate me for this, but it's just my personal thoughts. I think it's not quite as good as number 3, Tatsu. I prefer the sensation of the Tatsu. I love B&M flying coasters, they're one of the best models out there, no doubt. And this is just as good as a B&M flyer can get in the US. The intensity is consistent the whole way through while still being graceful and fun. The terrain adds quite a bit to it. All of the inversions are fantastic, especially the pretzel loop, which is more intense, by the way, than anything on X2, no doubt. Awesome ride. Not much else I'm going to say about it because I've talked about it a lot before. I love this ride. Easily one of the best B&M coasters even. I love it. I hope you guys love it. Moving on to the top 2. Number 2 is the Joker. I know. Above X2 and Tatsu is probably crazy. The worst RMC, right? Well, for me, it is the second worst RMC, but when they're all in my top 10 probably, I mean, it's not a bad thing. And Joker is so good. I'm surprised at how much people seem to think it's one of the worst, but pretty much everything about it is great. The ride is paced really well, the airtime is awesome, the inversions are some of the best on any RMC I've done, and the ride feels very long. So it has all of those elements that make things like Iron Gwazi great, with the exception of stats. I will admit the first drop is definitely the weakest of the RMCs I've done, and it's not the fastest feeling RMC because it's the slowest I've done probably. And I know it's not quite as impressive in stats overall, but it's still a great ride and I definitely love it. That said, number 1 had to be Twisted Colossus. It's everything that makes Joker great. Length, speed, inversions, airtime. But it feels faster, and you have the first drop, which is twice as good as Joker's. It's a really surprisingly good first drop for what it is. And I will say, the dueling aspect I did not get last time, but I got it the first time I rode. I didn't care that it wasn't there. The only difference it made is that it was kinda weird to go on the second lift hill and just kinda sit there and do nothing. It's more fun to go up a lift hill when another car is right next to you and you can kinda say, you're going down, we're gonna race before it happens. But other than that, no big deal, and I love the ride. Not much else to say because I mentioned before, Twisted Colossus is one of my favorite roller coasters. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this list. I don't know a whole lot of people who rank both parks combined together, and I know this list is very controversial, but it is just based on my experiences and preferences. Subscribe to the channel so you know when new content comes out. I'll see you next time.